Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on. I better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. There is no spokesperson for this video. They do not follow the typical critical incident briefing format. So I'll read some information from a news article that comes from the State Journal Register by Stephen Speary that was updated on December 3rd, 2022. Illinois State Police have released video from a police shooting that took place in Litchfield Thanksgiving morning. Shane Michael Boston, 41, of Eagerville, was shot by several officers in the parking lot of the Taylorville Community Credit Union in the 800 block of West Union Avenue after he appeared to point his firearm at an officer. He was later pronounced dead at HSHS St. Francis Hospital. Boston had been tased just before being shot. Two videos are from body cameras worn by officers with the Litchfield Police Department, according to Montgomery County State's Attorney Andrew Affronti. An ISP trooper and a Montgomery County Sheriff's deputy were also on the scene. The videos are a part of an ISP Division of Internal Investigation report that will go to Affronti. Affronti, reached Thursday, said he will render a decision about whether the officers were justified in the force they used. Affronti said that there was no immediate timeline when he would see the ISP report, which would also include crime lab reports and interviews. No officers were hit or injured during the incident. Affronti didn't say if Boston discharged his gun or how many shots officers fired. Officers originally responded to a suspicious person call at the McDonald's in Litchfield. Boston fled and later attempted to hijack a vehicle using his handgun. The body cam footage shows officers trailing Boston, asking him numerous times to drop his weapon. The sheriff's deputy has returned to duty. According to Affronti, the Litchfield officers are still on leave, he said. There was no immediate status on the return of the ISP trooper. Boston worked primarily as a roofer in the area. He had felony convictions out of Montgomery County and a pending felony charge in Macoupin County. All right, so there's some background information. Now here's the video, or videos. We'll start with the first one that they provide. Nothing wrong with audio, it's just in buffer mode. Okay, so I'll back that up right there. So he takes his gun out and then transfers the gun over to his left hand. Dick it around.
No, I just want to talk to you. Come here.
Then I guess he transferred the gun back to his right hand. I'm not the biggest fan of transferring the gun from dominant hand to non-dominant hand just for administrative purposes, so to speak, of handling the vehicle or stuff like that. Gun comes out by your dominant hand, it needs to stay in your dominant hand and until your dominant hand and or arm are no longer physically capable of doing anything with that gun. Everything else can be done with your left hand. Trying to, throw the vehicle in park, you already got the gun in your right hand, you just reach across the top of the steering wheel, grab the gear selector and throw it in the park. If you got for whatever reason range of movement limitations, you just can't for whatever reason utilize your left hand to throw that vehicle in park, you can always use your left foot to smash down the emergency brake pedal that's down there on the left side. That's easy to do, simple. No reason why you should be transferring that gun out of the dominant hand to the non-dominant hand unless you just can't use your dominant hand anymore. increases the chances of, one, you dropping the damn thing, and then two, that increases the chances of a negligent discharge occurring. And that increases the chances of you missing. If you are right hand dominant and you are always shooting from right hand, then when you go to left hand, you're obviously not going to be as good from left hand as you are going to be right hand.
Gun! Come here! Drop that fucking gun! Drop that fucking gun! We got one male at gunpoint. He's not responding to verbal commands. Headed towards Taco Bell.
Male now has the gun to his face, and you can get more units around.
Hey. Come on, man. Let me talk to you for a minute.
All right, so you can see him over in here walking through the parking lot. This is a gun call, and one of my biggest chief complaints when it comes to gun calls is officers not getting their rifles out. You go to a gun call, that's might as well consider that going to a gunfight. All right, there's a higher probability that you'll be in a gunfight. So if you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends who have rifles. Rifles are way better than pistols. Rifles are more accurate. They have a longer barrel, more points of contact on that rifle to further stabilize it and reduce the most amount of movement in it so that your overall accuracy is increased. Pistols, very short barrel, and you only get 2 points of contact. Your dominant hand and your non-dominant hand. Just the littlest amount of movement in pulling the trigger to get the gun to fire can throw your shot placement off on a pistol. The terminal ballistics are night and day. All pistol caliber ammunition sucks. I don't care what you got. 9, 40, 45, whatever. They all suck. Rifle ammunition? Yeah, that'll knock your dick in the dirt. You can get very rapid physical incapacitation with rifle rounds to center mass, and it doesn't take that many. It can take as few as 1 to 3 rounds of rifle center mass to rapidly incapacitate a threat, whereas with a pistol it may take 5 to 10 rounds center mass to incapacitate a threat. So rifles need to be coming out on calls like this.
The 66 now, Litchfield PD. Oh, he's on foot running.
Is he running again?
Yeah.
So that is the nice thing about having a truck. You can fucking drive over shit, like curbs and everything. Higher clearance on it. It's really, really nice. You get a car, you just can't drive over a bunch of shit. You can. You will probably fuck some shit up. But this is where trucks are coming really handy. And trucks and SUVs are pretty much now starting to emerge as the go-to vehicles within law enforcement. There's not many companies now that offer police sedans. So Dodge, I think, probably had the more popular police sedan, the Dodge Charger, but they released this year that they're not going to be making the damn thing anymore. They're going to that and the Challenger. They're going to an electric vehicle of a Challenger, and I guess they're going to an electric Charger as well. Ford, of course, discontinued the Crown Vic. They've discontinued the Police Taurus. All they have is the Explorer, the F-150. I think they have a service package Excursion. I'm not sure. When it comes to Chevy, you got the Tahoe. I don't even think they make the Caprice anymore, so they don't even have any cars. So really right now it's just SUVs and trucks out there being sold for police use. So they have better resale value. You can take a used truck and get a lot more money out of it used than you could a car or anything like that. And plus they're larger. So as these manufacturers over the years have been producing vehicles, they've been making vehicles smaller and smaller. If you go back to the 1990s and take a regular car, there's a lot of room in a 1990s model car. Just even a smaller car, like say like a Ford Taurus or something. And hell, when you look at the police vehicles back then, you know, the fucking Caprice, goddamn boat, and the Crown Vic, even the Crown Vic up until its, you know, retirement, these are roomy vehicles, right? Like nice and spacious. And then other vehicles, other regular consumer vehicles, nice and spacious as well. And over time, these vehicles have become smaller and smaller and smaller, more cramped feeling. Even SUVs today, some of them are kind of cramped feeling. So when you take in all the equipment, you know, laptops, console, cage dividers, rifle mounts, all that shit, you try to cram all that into a tiny ass little car, and you take an officer who is plus size, it's not very comfortable. So, and then the back, the cage part, you know, I mean, it's hard to fit some people in the back if they're, especially if they're, you know, they're fat. So the trucks and SUVs are going to be the dominating service vehicles for law enforcement in the next few years. I mean, there's still some agencies that are actually using Crown Vics, believe it or not, and the damn thing stopped being made in 2013. So those are eventually going to service out. The Dodge Chargers and everything, those are probably going to remain in for the next few years. But in the next decade or so, it's just going to be trucks and SUVs. And there's a lot of pros with that, not a whole lot of cons, really. The con would be the speed and the handling of a sedan, like a Charger. Like, you're not going to get that same performance that you get in a Charger with a fucking F-150, right? It's just apples and oranges. So that's the kind of the biggest con right there. But the pros are a lot more roomier, more comfortable, and you can drive over shit like he's doing. So if you can get trucks, get some trucks. Pretty nice. And plus, many places right now, lots of places are going to no pursuit policy, so it's not like it even matters if the fucking truck is good at pursuits or not anyway. Chances are fucking agencies not allowing that shit to happen.
I'm trying to whistle for my headset. Well, area. Okay. 132, you're standing. On front of the Victory Way. 10-4, eastbound. North, still got the gun in his hand. 10-4, north, running Victory Lane.
Hey man, come here, let me talk to you. What? I want to talk to you. Come here, let me talk to you. Put your hands up where I can see them. Put your hands up where I can see them. I want your hands up. 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 Put your hands up where I can see them. I want your hands up. I don't want to shoot you. I want your hands up. I want to talk to you. I don't know your family, but I want to talk to you. We're 2-lane 66 at knee houses. Come on, man. Let me talk to you for a minute.
10-4, 2-lane 66 at knee house.
Hey, man. Come on. Let me talk to you for a minute. Hey! on! Stop! Stop! Stop!
All right, so in the second video, they actually pause it down and kind of show where he's pointing the gun at this truck. But this intersection right here is where he tries to carjack a vehicle.
Hey man, come on, let me talk to you for a minute. Hey!
Obviously, you hear him say, "Hey," that's, when that attempt to hijack the vehicle occurred. He lifted the gun up, pointed at the vehicle, but thankfully the person didn't stop. They kept going.
Come on! Stop! Stop!
So, personally, for me, at this point, the fact that he tried to carjack a vehicle, that now makes this a deadly force scenario. It was already a potential deadly force scenario to begin with, since he had a gun, but now he has pointed that gun at someone and attempted to carjack them. I'm not 100% sure about Illinois' use of force laws. I know that Illinois has Chicago kind of dominating its laws and everything, and the gun laws there are not very friendly. They kind of suck ass. So their use of force laws, I don't know this for sure. They might have a duty to retreat or something like that. I don't know. But if they don't, it's plausible that under Illinois law that the driver of that vehicle would have been justified in using deadly physical force to protect themselves against this carjacking. I know for sure that in Kentucky it's 100% justified. But even if, let's say the guy would have been justified in using deadly physical force, even though he didn't use it, that doesn't mean the officers can't do that. They can use force to protect that person in that vehicle. Aside from the carjacking aspect of it, just the mere fact that he pointed a deadly physical weapon at the driver of that vehicle, that then makes it justifiable for the police officers to use deadly physical force against this guy to protect the driver of that vehicle. Now, of course, it was very quick. The driver kept going and got away, and now this guy's in the parking lot. Is deadly force still justifiable? Absolutely, yes. 110 fucking percent. They can still right now use deadly physical force against this guy. He is a substantial risk to the public. He has just shown that he does not give a fuck about people's lives, about people's safety. He pointed a gun at an innocent bystander, someone who has nothing to do with this shit at all. They were just driving through, don't know what they were doing, where they were going, but they were just minding their own business, living their own life, and this guy pointed a gun at them and created a situation where they could have become seriously physically injured and or killed by this guy's actions. So, Tennessee versus Gardner, that says that police can use deadly physical force against a person fleeing if they are a substantial risk to the public. And I believe that this guy is a substantial risk to the public and that they would have been justified in this moment using deadly physical force to stop him. So for those who don't know about Tennessee versus Gardner, this was a Supreme Court case back in the 1980s that originated out of Memphis, Tennessee. So up until this point in Memphis, all across the nation, police were basically allowed to use deadly physical force to stop people from fleeing. Someone robbed a store, robbed a bank, something like that, and they're running from police. They're running, police could just shoot at them to stop them so they wouldn't get away. Someone who, did something a little bit less dangerous than robbing a bank, police could still shoot them and shoot them to stop them from running away. Well, up until this point in the 1980s, there was a lot of agencies that had already initiated on their own to change internally policies in regards to that. So although it was legal within states to do it, some agencies were just saying, nah, we're not going to do that. Memphis, to my understanding, didn't follow that mindset. They still allowed for all that to go on. And so these two officers go to a call for a burglary. They come across the burglary suspect. Suspect starts running, starts to climb a fence. The officer thought, well, shit, he gets over that fence, he's going to get away. We'll lose him. So he fired, shot him in the back. Ended up being a juvenile burglar, teenager, I think like 16, 17-year-old or something like that. They end up dying. Goes to court, goes to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court basically said that just using deadly physical force to seize a person to prevent them from fleeing is unconstitutional. But police can use deadly physical force against a fleeing person if they are a substantial risk to the public. And as I said, this right here, I 100%, 110% believe meets that that definition, that ruling right there. So not only would they be justified in doing this, I think they're basically obligated at this point to have to do that. If he's done it once, he'll try it again. So far, up until this point, he's been non-compliant. He's going through a populated area, gun in hand. He's just now tried to carjack someone, tried to use deadly physical force against a person. Why take that risk and let him try it again? He may not even have good firearms handling skills. He may keep his finger resting on the trigger the whole time. He may not have the intentions to actually shoot someone, but because of him being a negligent kind of person, just him pointing a gun at someone, he could negligently discharge that gun and shoot them unintentionally. Why allow that risk to occur? It should not be allowed to go on. This video will continue on for a few more minutes, and then the second video you'll see kind of shows some stuff from a different perspective, but still it goes on for several minutes, and I think that the officers failed at protecting the citizens after this point right here. I think they allowed it to go on for too long and created too many opportunities for this guy to victimize innocent people. So past this point, them not using force against him, I see that as malfeasance and dereliction of duty. Just like the fucking Uvalde cops not doing the damn thing. Just like the fucking school resource officer in Florida at the active shooter incident. Parkland High School, I think. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Same thing. Guy failed to do anything. This is no different to me. This person, the suspect here, pointed a gun at an innocent person. This guy's a vicious threat. He needs to be dealt with. All right. Enough beating a dead horse. Moving on.
Stop! Stop! Just stop. Just stop. I don't want to do this, man. I'm telling you to stop. Stop. Come on, man. Give us a minute. All we want to do is talk to you. Fucking give out.
Get out now! Just grab it, get out, we'll talk. No, dude,
Come on, man.
Montgomery, 134, get units to Aaron. Units to Aaron.
10-4, units to Aaron.
Come on, man.
So this guy drove all the way up here, went forward to him, and created a situation to where if this thing turns kinetic, there's now a crossfire scenario. I understand what he was thinking. Hey, I'll try and get ahead of this guy. That way he comes to me and I ain't got to be running after his ass. We'll be able to close the distance a lot better. But that's now creating a crossfire type of situation, and friendly fire is not friendly. And you can see right here, this guy has a rifle, and I think he is the one whose body camera we'll see next. Soft armor is not stopping rifle rounds. It's not. I mean, rifle rounds will go through it like a hot knife through warm butter. I mean, you stack 3 goddamn soft vest ups, they'll go through all fucking 3 of them. So if this guy started shooting and he missed, and in gunfights there are missed rounds, or even if he shoots this dude and over penetrates and it hits him, his soft vest ain't stopping that fucking rifle round. It's just not happening. And you know, it's never a good time when an officer dies in the line of duty, but it's even worse when an officer dies in the line of duty by the hands of another officer. That creates so many problems within the agency and then within the community, because then, I mean, how do you think the community feels when a cop shoots and kills another cop? Like, how much confidence do you think the people have in their own police at that point? Like, oh my god, these fucking cops just shot each other. Like, what the fuck is going on? You lose confidence within the public, within inside the agency. You know, that person who did it, you know, they may be singled out and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Can't use my words this morning. Singled out and left alone, and you know, he may have friends and stuff, and you know, if people are sticking with him and being friends with him, then other people are like, all right, well, fuck you. If you want to hang out with Bob, then we just ain't gonna mess with you either. So it can cause issues within the agency itself, cause some turmoil and some tensions between people and groups of people and stuff like that. It's just never good. Like I said, it sucks when there's a line of duty death. That's horrible. Whenever the protectors are dying, it's like the white blood cells in your body going away. Like, you don't need that. That hurts you overall. But it's even worse when it's by the hands of a fellow brother. So crossfire, avoid it as much as possible.
Come on, man, just stop for a second. Just stop for a second. Stop for a second. Stop for a second.
Alright, so that right there was a taser deployment.
Listen. Stop for a second. Stop for a second.
So obviously, taser was ineffective. I knew it was going to be well before they ever fired taser. He has a jacket on. It's wintertime. So when it comes to wintertime, that sucks for tasers because the probes have so much more material to contend with. And a lot of times you have a lot of higher rates of taser deployment failures because people are wearing thicker clothing in the wintertime. The jackets just... they're loose, they're thicker, probes hit, and you can't have the darts super long or the probes on the darts super long because, or should I say darts on the probes? Yeah, the darts on the probes cannot be super long because they go too deep into the body, then that can cause some issues. So they got to be short enough to be able to go into the body to achieve that NMI, but they can't be long enough to where they start piercing organs and stuff like that. So the Green Bay cartridges are the XP cartridges. They do have a little bit longer darts on the probes. They're meant to go through thicker clothing and stuff like that. But again, like I said, there's a limitation on how long you can make those things. Because if they're too long, I mean, then you get into the issue of them piercing into organs and things like that. other things that could be useful or could have been useful up and at this point. Of course, pepper ball gun I think would probably be the best thing to have been able to utilize. If he had an MK9 and he got this close, I have no doubt that he could have painted this dude's face with the MK9 on stream mode. That would have stopped him, probably. He probably could have kept walking, but he would not have been very effective at seeing exactly where he was going, or if he decided to start shooting or anything like that, he wouldn't have been very effective at being able to do anything like that. When it comes to wintertime, I think OC should probably, most likely be in most cases the first go-to option due to the thick clothing and everything that limits the taser. But of course, it depends on the circumstances and what the person's wearing and everything. You could be indoors during wintertime, and of course, they're not going to be having, well, most people wouldn't be having thick-ass jackets on, but there's some cold-natured people that do. But outside, thick clothing, personally, I think OC is probably the better bet when you're wanting to go to a less lethal option. Because the tasers just, they have a hard time dealing with the thick clothes. Now, of course, that taser deployment obviously motivated his ass. So he's beating feet a little bit faster.
Got another
16 pounds from Aaron. 16 pounds from Aaron.
fuck.
They just handed him a new taser cartridge. Why is he handing him a new taser cartridge? I mean, I would suspect that this officer only had one cartridge on him. Should not be having just one cartridge on you. You should be having a reload on you. Either you get the special battery that has the extra compartment on it to be able to accept an extra cartridge, or you have the taser model that has 2 cartridges in it. So I think he has the Papa model, or it could have been the Echo model. I don't think it was the Echo. I think it was the Papa model. So that's a single shot cartridge. Reload, you need a reload for that. It either needs to be on the handle itself and on the special battery, or you have an extra cartridge holster on the belt somewhere. That way you can do a taser reload. Just rocking one taser cartridge, I don't think is a smart idea.
He's on the sidewalk. On the north side. At Overstock Shop.
Hey man, come here, let's talk.
North side by the Overstock Shop.
Tell me he's giving stop.
Come on, man. Look around. It's over. Drop the gun. Let's talk. Come on, we just want to talk to you.
After he done tried to tase him. They just want to talk to you and tase you.
No, you got to help me. Hey, drop the gun. Drop it. Drop it.
We got a little report
You
shot
good?
fire. Perfect now.
Drop the gun.
All right, we'll back that up. So that's the Taser Papa model, or X26P. So Man, this officer takes a huge fucking risk running up close to this guy to try and get taser on him. Now, granted, there are other officers around with lethal weapons pointed at this guy, but they're not as close as this officer gets. I think this officer took way too big of a risk trying to get within range of this guy to get a taser deployment on him. I don't think that the juice was worth the squeeze on this one. This guy could have so easily just spun around and popped this officer in the fucking face. Could have happened that quick. And action generally beats reaction. This guy would have been able to spin, bring the gun up, and fire before this officer could ever drop the taser from his hands and try to go to his gun. Before the other officers who had their guns out pointed at them could have put sights on target, front sight focus, or even put the dot on them, disengage safety, press trigger, put rounds on target. He would have been able to spin, shoot the officer in the face before they could have accurately put incapacitating rounds on this guy. Action generally beats reaction. And he took way too much fucking risk trying to run up on this dude to deploy taser on him. I mean, this is just damn near suicidal in my opinion. There's nothing, some people say, oh, he's so brave and so, heroic trying to save this guy's life by using a taser on him. No, I don't see it like that at all. Like I said, this is purely fucking suicidal. Personally, I think the administrators of his agency should be reprimanding him for trying this shit. No, why? No, don't put yourself at risk like that. Now you see his feet as he's starting to step forward. Is he under NMI at this point? I don't know. It's hard to say. It almost kind of looks like he is starting to go into the effects of NMI. You see both the feet kind of going up. He's got this leaning forward kind of look to him. But then he's raising the arm up at this point. So I don't know. It's so hard to say. It happens so quick. You don't get to see a good, clear view of him. And the shooting from the other officers occurs pretty quickly once he brings that gun up. If he had achieved NMI, then he should not have been able to raise the gun up and point it at them. So I think that probably one probe has gone into his lower extremity, and he is feeling that. Like, most likely he is feeling that, and that could be him responding to the pain of the pulse rate going into his body through that one probe that has probably gone through his pant leg and has made contact with his skin. That's what I think is probably going on. He's probably got one probe definitely making contact and sending in the volts. But I don't think that NMI is being achieved at this point. Even if it was being achieved at this point, he's still pointing the gun at the officers. And although it's hard to tell in this freeze frame right here, he might have his trigger on the finger. He might not have his trigger on the finger. It would be pretty damn difficult to make that distinct observation, to take the time to take your eyes and focus in on what his finger's doing. That's suicidal. Like, gun comes up, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to see. Gun comes up, all right, bang, 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 gunfight. There is no, well, where's his finger at? Let me take a few extra seconds to see where his finger is placed at. Is it indexed? Is he just pointing the gun, but he's not about to shoot? Is it on the trigger? Is he about to shoot? No, fuck that. That's unrealistic. There's no way that you're ever going to be able to process information that quickly. Gun comes up, that's it. It's gunfight time. Yeah, so this right here, when it comes to the second video, we're going to be seeing it from this guy right here. And it's hard to see his rifle. So it doesn't look like he has a silencer on his rifle, but this guy right here definitely has a silencer on his rifle. And I'm glad that these two officers have rifles out, because rifles are what are needed in this gunfight. I would say that this guy dying was probably attributed to rifle rounds being fired into him. But anyway, the silencer on this rifle. So I've talked about this before in other videos whenever we see rifles with silencers. In my opinion, rifles need silencers. There's a few things that are a must on a rifle. One, a sling is a must. A sling on a rifle is a holster to a handgun. That's what the sling is. It's basically the holster for the rifle. Excuse me. Second to that is a weapon-mounted light, and all fighting weapons should have weapon-mounted lights on them. But your rifle should have a weapon-mounted light on it that has really good candela, has a tight beam on it, so you can obviously see a little bit further distances with it, and it be as bright as you can get it. A optic of some sort on the rifle, in addition to your iron sights, red dot, holographic sight, whatever. I think that is the most beneficial thing to have on there. A magnifier is just an extra thing. It's not a needed thing, but it's nice if you got it. And then a silencer. A silencer is one of those required things, in my opinion. It helps to save your hearing in the short term and in the long term sense. Silencers they don't really make anything silent. They're like a muffler, and so calling them a silencer is actually kind of inaccurate, because, like I said, they don't silence anything. They just muffle the noise. A lot of people refer to them as suppressors, and that's probably the most realistic term for them is suppressor, because that's what they do. They suppress the sound. But when it comes to the legal paperwork and everything, the patent, that's what they're labeled as silencers. So that's what goes on ATF forms and everything. But just know that they're mufflers, basically. They still make loud ass noises. Like, you definitely gonna know a fucking suppressed rifle is shooting. You're going to hear it. Even with pistols, you're still going to hear pistol caliber suppressed guns being fired. To me, they sound kind of like paintball guns or like nail guns that roofers use. They just kind of have that pneumatic noise to them. Rifles, they're almost like a 22 being fired several feet away from you, I guess, is the best way to describe it. They're loud, but they're not so super fucking loud that they cause ringing in the ears. So when it comes to your short-term and long-term hearing protection, in the short term, basically, it prevents you from having the tinnitus, ringing of the ears after shooting, so you're able to more effectively communicate with people after you've shot your rifle. While the rifles are being actively shot, you can still communicate over the sound of them being shot. So that is of utmost importance, because typically the teams who can shoot, move, and communicate the best are the ones who win. So while someone's shooting and you're able to talk over the sound of that suppressed rifle being fired, you can deliver communications to people, and they can start moving while the other person is still shooting that rifle, etc. In the long term, of course, it saves your hearing, because you just don't incur any hearing damage from a suppressed rifle. It drops the sound down to a hearing safe level. So Even if you pop rounds off indoors, it's still going to be hearing safe. And several years down the road, you're not going to be a victim of random ass fucking tinnitus, where you just have ringing of the ears at random times. And I have it. It sucks. Like, I'll be sitting there in the room or something, no TV on, no noises going on, just sitting there playing on the phone, and then fucking ringing out of nowhere comes in the ears. It fucking sucks, man. And being hard of hearing, having to say, huh, what, what'd you say? Say it again. Say it again. One more time. Say it again. Like, that fucking sucks, having to do that shit in normal life. So, and that's my own damn fault. One, being a teenager and listening to loud music on headphones at full blast. That didn't help any. And then, getting in the guns and, not wearing my hearing protection when I should have been. Being around, speakers and loud music that has degraded my hearing. And so I have hearing loss. But that was a cumulative thing, multiple things throughout time. But you can still incur hearing loss just with, firing some rounds out of rifle without any hearing protection on, especially indoors. Like, if you've never shot a gun indoors, you have no idea how fucking loud that shit is. It fucking sucks. It really does. But anyway, like I said, silencers. Those are, I think, a requirement for a fighting rifle. Obviously, agencies are able to get these a lot easier. They don't have to go through as much bullshit as everyone else. They still got some, obviously, bullshit paperwork they got to fill out and everything to be compliant. But it's a lot quicker process for an agency to take possession of a silencer. Private citizens, yeah, it's not an easy process. It's about a year-long wait to be able to take possession of one after you've already paid for the damn thing. So you could go into a gun store today that sells silencers as a private citizen. You can own them. Yeah, you can own 100 silencers, but you're going to be waiting a while. So you go in today, you pay for that silencer. You say they got a kiosk. You do your fingerprints there, take your passport quality photo, yada yada yada. You've paid for the can. You leave, that can has to stay there at that gun store until the ATF does its thing and then says that you're able to take possession of it. So everyone refers to this as the NFA jail. National Firearms Act is the laws that govern silencers, the same laws that govern belt-fed machine guns. Yeah, like, I hope that you're scratching your head, because I scratched my head on that one too. Like, why the fuck does the law that talks about belt-fed machine guns need to be talking about silencers? It's totally stupid. But they call it NFA jail, and it takes right around a year almost for them to get notification from the ATF that, hey, this person's clear, here's their tax stamp. They're now legally able to possess a silencer. There's been some people who are going on 2 years waiting for this clearance to come through. And then there's those assholes who get lucky and get like a 30-day approval, or a 60-day, 90-day approval. Like, I don't know whose dick they're sucking, but if I could pay you some money to go suck some more so I can, get my shit cleared, hey, I'll send you money. All right, so not much else for this video. We'll skip out of this and go into the second body cam footage. Alright, so here is the second video. So I like the fact this officer has a rifle and that this other officer over here has a rifle. They've got the right mindset here. Here in a little bit. Here we go.
Get out of the way! Drop
Drop the gun now!
Chief. Hop this, hop this. Don't roll.
All right, so doors on vehicles, or just vehicles as a whole, vehicles suck for cover. Bullets will very easily go through car doors. So, contrary to what Hollywood has tried to lead people to believe, car doors are not stopping bullets. A very tiny, small-ass 22 long rifle will go straight through a car door, no problem. It can even, depending on where it hits, it could even go through both car doors. Like you shoot from the driver's side, it'll go straight through that driver's side door, and then through the passenger side door and out the other side of the vehicle. But like I said, it depends on where it hits on that door and what materials it had to pass through. A lot of times the 22 will just, terminate within that first door itself, or it will go through that first door and go into that passenger door, but stop somewhere within that passenger door. You start going to calibers above that, and the rounds are going straight through both doors, no problem whatsoever. The only places on a vehicle that stop bullets are the parts with the very thick chunks of metal. So the engine block stops bullets, the transmission case and the axles stop bullets pretty well. Everything else on the vehicle, as far as the body of it, nope, it's not stopping shit. So basically, this officer is just wasting his time trying to hide behind this car door. It's not helping him any at all.
Move your cars!
We're doing 66 at Moon House. 66 at Moon House.
Stop.
Alright, so this is the freeze frame that I talked about earlier. And as I said earlier, boom, this right here, this is green light. This is go time. This dude just tried to potentially seriously injure and or kill another person. And gotta act on that. Gotta act on that.
Drop the fucking gun! Put the gun down! Put it down now! Put the fucking gun down! Stop!
Stop running with talk. Jesus.
Put it down now!
Look at number 134. Get units to errands. Units to errands.
10-4 units to errands.
Watch crossfire! Watch crossfire! Watch crossfire! Head towards Napa. Heading towards Napa.
10-4 now at Napa 16. Eastbound from Aaron.
Get on the ground now!
Eastbound from Aaron.
Get on the ground! Drop it now!
He's on the sidewalk on the north side. That overstock shop. Hey, that north side, that overstock shop.
Up, good. I believe you, Rich. You hit my family. Hey, drop the gun, man. Drop the gun. You know the fence, you know the fence. Fence in there, too. No, you guys want to cut me. Hey, drop the gun. You know the fence, don't. Hey, roll with you. Stop. I know how you like. Montgomery 134, shots fired. Shots fired. Suspects down.
So I know for sure this officer fires. Which of these over here fired or did not fire, I'm not 100% sure. I think from the news report, sounded like maybe 3 or 4 officers involved in the shooting, so it could have been all 4 of these guys right here. He takes rounds and goes down, and then the officer fires a few more times while he's still on the ground. Some people would take issue with this. I don't take issue with it. You can still see what looks like the gun is still in his hand, so he's still a threat at this point. Just because he's been shot and has fallen to the ground doesn't mean that he is no longer capable of being a threat. He could still roll over with that gun in his hand and return fire. So until that gun completely comes out of his hand, he's still a threat. And anything worth shooting once is worth shooting twice. So I have no problem with him firing some rounds into this guy after he went down to the ground. You can still fight from the ground. It's trained for, firing from supine position, prone position even, fetal position, whatever. You can fight from the ground. So just because he's down doesn't mean that he is out of the fight. He's still a potential threat. If he's still able to hold the gun in his hand, then he can still shoot. So, if he didn't want to get shot, he just needed to drop the gun. Like they asked him to, however many times they asked him to. If I should have did little tally marks for every time I heard someone say drop the gun or put the gun down. Probably said it at least 50 times. This is, the other video was about 7 minutes long. This one's about 5 minutes, so probably a good solid 4 minutes of them giving this guy verbal commands over and over and over. Within that time, I'd say probably at least 50 times this dude was probably told between multiple officers to drop the damn gun. So he brought this shit upon himself. Personally, like I said, he should have had force used against him way earlier when he attempted the carjacking. That's when things should have become kinetic. then it got to this point. It was inevitable that this was going to happen. I had mentioned earlier about less lethal options. You know, let's say that they did try to fire him up with a pepper ball gun, beanbag, something, 40 millimeter. He still could have turned and pointed the gun at him, and it would have resulted in this. I don't think that a 12 gauge less lethal or a 40 millimeter less lethal would have done anything. It probably would have just resulted in him turning around and pointing the gun. Pepper ball, no, I don't see pepper ball being very effective in this. The only thing that I think could have been effective was way earlier when he got so close to him with the taser that if he had had an MK9, then he probably could have painted dude's face or at least put a big enough cloud of OC around his head area that dude would have become totally fucked at that point with the OC contamination. But other than that, I see this as just being something that this is what it was going to boil down to. Like, where was the guy going? Like, what was the end game here? Like, did he think he was going to get to a fucking portal and disappear out of there? No, I mean, they're all on him, following him. Excuse me. They're all on top of him, following him. They're not going anywhere. He's not going to... Excuse me again. He's not going to go anywhere. There's nothing he can do to outrun them or outmaneuver them or anything like that. It was going to end up in force being used against this guy. If he had dropped the gun, then still, most likely force was going to be used. They probably would have tased him, tackled him, used, open hand techniques, whatever, to gain compliance out of him and get him into cuffs. Was this exactly a suicide by police kind of deal? I don't know. It doesn't follow the typical suicide by police kind of thing. It went on and on and on. So, can't say for sure on anything like that. So, this freeze frame right here, it's interesting because you see a silencer on the gun, and then this looks like a PEC 15 sitting on top. I can't get a good look at it. But then you have a freaking Enforce light right here that is what this looks like. Like, why? Like, why have all that Gucci shit on that rifle and go a fucking Enforce light? That shit kills me. When it comes to the weapon-mounted lights on rifles, it's even for pistols, it's gonna have to be either Surefire, Streamlight, Modlight, or Cloud Defensive. Those are the only four companies that make weapon-mounted lights that I recommend utilizing. Anything else is just a toy. It's not meant to be used for real-world applications. All right. So that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.